Hello and welcome to another episode of Marty's Matchbox Makeovers. Now this little model of a crane I bought from the Ballarat Vintage and Collectibles Indoor Market the other weekend. And I think it only cost me $5. And why did I buy it? Well, because I don't have one in my collection. So this is the Iron Fairy crane. It's not made of iron, of course. It is made of pot metal, like most Matchbox cars are. I tried to pick it up with a magnet and it didn't work. So this is the 42C, came out in 1969 and it's 3 inches long, a cute little crane. This is missing a hook, so I'm going to have to source a new hook. And looking at the paint on this, I can't believe this much paint has come off of this model through normal wear and tear. I can't imagine someone playing with it that much. Now here from agrisalesLimited.co.uk is a video clip of the real thing. Look how small it is. It's a cute crane, isn't it? I love that word, a cute crane. Look at the guy in the cabin, so small. Not the guy, but the crane. Anyway, if you want to buy a crane, go to agrisalesLimited.co.uk. I shall leave a link in the description. So back in the hobby room here, I'm checking it out for the first time after I bought it, and I'm thinking, why did I waste my money on this? Look at it. It's very, very worn out indeed. Underneath you can see it actually says 1969 on it, and it is indeed the Iron Fairy crane, number 42. The base is held on with 3 rivets, 1 large, 2 small. So I shall have to be drilling those out pretty soon. Just having another look at it here, the jib's held on with another rivet there. Lifts up and down. It's got one of those, they call them hydro sleeve, I think they're called. They're not hydraulic, of course. It's just a piece of plastic with a metal ram in it, and it's just held up by friction. That's all that's left of the hook. Not much. No windscreen. That's a win. I actually thought maybe the windscreen was broken and missing, but a quick check online reveals that these didn't come out with a windscreen. So that's a win for me. It means that's something I don't have to fabricate or find. Okay, now I've mentioned this once before. It is the Roger Darkins Matchbox regular wheels, and in here there is a section for the 42C Iron Fairy crane, and it says here about rare models have high pin in line with jib. Thick seat high pin, they're worth more money, the ones with the high pin. And I think he's talking about this pin here. And you can see here, high pin is worth a little bit more. Highly sought after. So anyway, this is the old version. Now he very, very kindly sent me a brand new booklet, free of charge. Now this one here is 1969, this one goes up to 1970. Anyway, it's got the same 42C in here, and this shows you what he is talking about with the high pin. The high pin. If you look at this picture there, there's a pin there and a pin there. That means that the jib can go horizontal. This is a picture of the rare one. It's an early build. It's got the pin is in a different position. Can you see that? And because that pin's higher up, the jib won't go horizontal. And here's the real thing. So I've got the standard version, not the early version. The early version came out with the higher pin. Anyway, I better get pulling this thing apart, I'm thinking, and get this makeover underway. So as I said before, the base is held on with 3 rivets. one large and two small. And that is retained by a rivet that you can't actually see because it's inside the body. I'm also going to have to take those two out there to pull this thing apart to clean and repaint. On the face of it, I thought, oh, okay, this is going to be a breeze. This model is going to be a couple of hours and it will be done. But you know what? I should have said a couple of days. This model in particular was possibly would go into the top 10 of my makeovers as being the most awkward makeover ever. Actually, not in the top 10, the top 1. This was the most awkward makeover ever. And you'll see why as time goes on. Very, very tricky little model to pull apart and put back together again. I want to prise this base off. I've just drilled the rivets out. I want to pry the base off, but I'm worried that I am going to break it. Break the axle attachment points by levering the base off because there's nowhere to get a screwdriver in there. So first up, I'm thinking I'm going to have to take the wheels off and remove the axles, and then I shall be able to get a screwdriver bit in there and pry the base off. But see, already it's going sideways. I'm thinking, hang on, I've never had to do this before. So once again, I'm using this hub guard which I made, which is just some feeler gauges with a hole drilled in them. Nothing too technical there, rather primitive design, but it works. It protects the tyres from damage when you're using a Dremel to remove the flange off of the end of the axle there, the actual bit that holds the wheel on. You can see you can just hack away at it, no worries whatsoever. There's no damage to the tyre at all because obviously the feeler gauge is in the way, preventing any damage. And how about that? If you haven't got one, make one. I don't know if you can buy feeler gauges anymore. Who actually checks their... the only reason I had feeler gauges, I had an MG sports car once, and it had points on it, and you had to check the points. Other than that, I think you use it for checking the gap in your spark plugs, but nobody does that anymore, do they? No one does that anymore. So I don't know even if you can buy feeler gauges anymore. Let me know in the comments if you can buy feeler gauges, because I don't know where I got mine from. Though I think I've had them about 20 years. Anyway, that's the wheels and the axles off. I just put them in this little jelly container that I keep to keep all the bits in. Now I can pry this off with, otherwise I was going to have to lever the wheel, which might have broken the base, especially those the ones at the rear there where they're quite, no, actually the ones at the front there, you can see they're quite fragile. They could have broken quite easily if I tried to lever it out using the tyre as a levering point. Alright, having a look there. Okay, there's the big rivet that's holding that crane on there. So I'm going to have to try and get that out somehow. Initially I thought I might just drill the head off of it, so I get my center punch out, spring-loaded one, watch this. Random bit of metal, you can see it just leaves a dent in there. So I'm centering, hoping to center the drill here to drill this out. And then after I did that, I thought, maybe I can preserve that rivet and use it to put it back together again, because it's a specific length. And you can't just find rivets off the shelf anywhere. So I kind of have a bit of a rethink. I'm thinking maybe I'll take the top off. But to do that, I've got to remove the actual jib, or is that called a jib? I'm not too sure if the jib's the end bit or the main bit, but I'm gonna have to take the main bit of the crane off. And once again, this is something I've never done before. I've used it using a circular grinding attachment to take the head off of a rivet in a very awkward spot. And I don't want to overcook it, so I'm going really careful here. I don't want to damage the model. So I'm just kind of taking it down so I can snap it off with some long nose pliers rather than trying to cut through the whole thing. Look at that. This is, hopefully this is going to snap off and pull out quite easily. Let's have a look. This is a first for me. There you go, that worked. So that's a new thing. Look how small these little bits are too. I've got to somehow put them back in and reform them to hold it back together again. Ain't going to be easy, I can tell you that now. This little ram with the hydro sleeve comes out from the top. Quite ingenious, really. Simple how they've manufactured that to make it easy to install. So now I've got that pin out, I've almost got access to that rivet that I want to get access to, but not quite. So I'm going to have to take this other little rivet out. Like I said, this is getting more and more complicated the further I get into it. So I'm trying to grind the head off here without damaging the model, obviously. And I'm just taking it down enough so I can punch it out with my spring-loaded center punch. That looks pretty good. Go a little bit more. Different attachment. It's like a sort of a ball end grinder. So I've kind of made a dish there to center my spring-loaded center punch in, so I can punch that rivet out and hopefully reuse it. Pretty awkward and fiddly, and I'm thinking I'm going to break something any second. Thankfully I didn't. As you can see, I've got those tiny bits of rubber in my vise there, so I didn't damage the model. It's coming out, it's coming out, it's a tight fit, of course. There we go. Right, so slowly getting to where I want to be. That's the rivet I'm trying to get at. I didn't really want to pull all this apart. Didn't think I'd have to. The hook comes out quite tight. I realise why. Because it goes in from the top. You'll see later when I put the new one in. You don't really want to pull it out from below. You want to pull it out from the top. There's some lolly sticks, or what would you call them? Just like sticks that I've put in there, so as vice clamps. While I drill this rivet out. Again, I want to preserve it so I can reuse it if possible. So I've just taken the barest amount off and smashed it through there with the, again, the spring-loaded center punch. So the actual crane attachments come off, and now the actual rivets come through, which is good. So much time spent pulling this apart. It's unbelievable. Anyway, this is good now. I can paint strip this. Here's all the individual bits. One of those axles is bent. I'm going to have to straighten that. So I put all the plastic bits and the metal bits in there. And these are the bits that I'm going to paint strip. Today, for a change, I am wearing some gloves, protective gloves. My hands are actually quite clean at the moment, which is Unusual for me, and I intend to keep them that way. That's why I'm wearing the gloves, or part of the reason anyway. Once again, this Matchbox paint comes off real easy with the poly stripper paint stripper. Quite satisfying removing the old paint. And of course, prior to doing this, I have mixed up specifically the yellow, because it's a very sort of orangey yellow, but the red I'm going to use straight out of the pot. So as usual, I'm going to give them a prime with the Tamiya Fine Primer, the grey one. The red is going to be just the standard X7, and for the crane and the jib and whatever you call it, I've mixed up this yellow. It's the lemon yellow, but it's got one drop of red in it, just to give it a hint of sort of orange, to try and replicate the original Matchbox colour. So here we go. This is, I love this part of the makeover, because all of a sudden these bits look clean and ready to paint, and all of the detail comes out. You can see everything, stuff you didn't see before. And this model, the body of this crane got a surprising amount of detail cast into it. We'll have a look at that in a minute. Look at that. This, it looks beautiful. In there you can see MB42-3. I don't know what 3 means. Maybe it's batch 3, maybe it's design number 3, slightly tweaked. There you can see Matchbox 42. On this bit here, unusual shaped part, and you can there's a hole there that's been filled in, or it looks like it's a leftover stamp from a previous die or something that they've modified. Once again in there, look, MB42-3. No one's ever seen that before, probably, except for me. And if you worked in the factory, you might have seen it. Look at the detail here. It's simple but accurate. I mean, even the different sized bolts or rivets there. Unusually, the middle one on the right hand side is larger than the others. That's probably a detail that they picked up on when they were designing it. Fancy grille, headlights, lights, tail lights, whatever. Attachment points for chains and towing attachments. Love the checker plate. Anyway, here we go, straight out of the pot, the red Tamiya. Beautiful colour, lovely gloss, has to be gloss of course. Always start off inside the model, make sure the spray gun's not splattering. I'll just give it a nice wet coat. Stand it up so it's in the correct orientation, and as it dries it should just self-level, find its own level. Now here's the yellow I mixed up. Very subtle difference between yellow and Matchbox yellow. It makes all the difference though if you're trying to restore it and make it look like new again. Yeah, that funny bit there, difficult to paint. A lot of voids. Don't want to get too close for the air gun in case I get runs. So quite awkward. Might have to give it a second coat after. I'll save that paint for touch-ups later. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of touch-ups putting this back together. Now here's a tip for cleaning your airbrush. Block off the nozzle and run the air through it, and it acts like a little washing machine. Cleans the pot out beautifully. Oh, all these other bits here, looking a bit shabby, aren't they? That's busted. That's no good. That can go in the bin. There's the rivets. Hopefully reusing them. That's that bent axle I was talking about. I'll straighten that up in a minute. Checking this. Very simple little design. Hydra sleeves, they call these. That black thing. Now I'm going to give these a wash. These tyres especially are very mucky, but I'm thinking under the muck they're probably going to look pretty good, I'm guessing. Don't know till I clean them. Give it a go anyway. I've got a toothbrush and some washing up liquid. Drops of washing up liquid. Detergent. Give them a good clean. Flip them over and do the backs. I just got to dry them off now and see what they look like. Quite often they're in good condition, they just look a little bit drab, as these do. Slight imperfections on the outer wall of the tyre. The inner wall doesn't wear as much. So I'm going to give them a freshen up with some tyre wash. This is something I use time to time. My little tyre wash rig. Over here I've got a specific pot of watered down or diluted X1 black. I call it a tyre wash. I just give them a spruce up with that. It's good because it doesn't conceal the tread, you know, like normal thick paint might hide some of the detail of the tyres, but this just goes on real runny and just kind of makes them look a little bit fresh. I do one side, now I flip them over and do the other. This base, bit mucky, give it a clean. Could not get it perfect. Definitely looks better though. There's one of the axles I've cleaned up. Looks great. This one here is bent, the bent one. So I'm going to straighten that out now. Just give it a couple of taps with the hammer. So already this build or restoration is taking longer than normal. And yeah, that's still not straight, so I have to give it another go. Here we go. That's it. Now look how clean my hands are. Please leave a comment. Oh, hang on, they're mucky again now. Never mind, I must have just gone out and got some wood or something. Here is what I had of the hook, and these are some that I have in stock from who knows where. I just found them I got a plastic bin with plastic bits in it, and there they were. This one here was 3D printed, probably 5 years ago, at the old house when I had my first 3D printer. It's flat on one side. That's the only problem with that PLA, because it builds on a bed. These here are genuine ones, I think, that have been scavenged from previous models. That one looks really good. It's got a little bit of a lump on the top of it. I'll scrape that off. And if I'm not mistaken, I think it's exactly the same as all of the hooks. They all seem to have the same hooks. So Matchbox made these hooks and they used them for many, many vehicles. Anyway, here's all the bits that have been spruced up and ready to put back together. I won't show you how I put the wheels on. If you're a regular viewer, you would know I use a drill press in my shed. It's a bit of effort carrying all the equipment over there, stands and camera and everything, setting it all up. Today I used this small ball peen hammer in my vise, and it looks original. Look at that. Not a bad finish. So that was with the hammer. Normally I use the drill press, but not today. Couldn't be bothered going over to the shed. That fits in there from the top down. It's impossible to put it in the other way around. So I've orientated that so the pins can go back in. This is the tricky bit. Getting these pins in is not much fun. And this is part of the problem with this model. If you've got this model, I do not recommend you pull it apart. If possible, paint it as it is, assembled, and make it look good. Putting these little pins back in was extremely awkward, because not only have I got fat fingers, but somehow I've got to hold this in the vise, support the base of it, use these punches without damaging the yellow bit, and reform the end of the axle so it's retained, or not the axle, the pin. Reform the end of the pin so it's held in place. Initially I was going to use my battery hammer drill, and here we go, first time round. Terrified I'm going to damage the paint or break something. And I'll let you into a secret, it was a two-man job. Actually, it was a man and a woman job. My wife, Julie, helped me to hammer the end over with a punch. But couldn't film it because we needed 6 hands and we only had 4. Now I'm just showing you a detail on this hook. It's got a wasted section below the attachment point, and that is because they go in from the top and you pull them down and they lock into those 2 little lugs like this, and it's actually quite a pull. There you go, they snap in and they won't come out very easily. So that's how that works. A good design by Matchbox there. Now I've got to put this back together. Once again, trying to reuse this rivet probably wasn't the best plan. I might revisit this and put a what do they call them, a pop rivet in there, only because it doesn't feel like it's going to last. The base actually clicks back on quite nicely and firmly and needs no further attention. So here's a reminder of what I started with a couple of days ago now. Pretty shabby, you got to admit. And this is what it looks like now. I've got to say, I'm happy with that. This turned out absolutely marvellous. Actually looks like a brand new toy, even though it's got a second-hand hook on it. I'm very, very pleased, and we're going to run it through its paces. So I'm going to see if this thing actually works as a crane, and if it does, then, well, I think I give myself an A+. Now, you wouldn't believe this, but Kevin is the only person in our family that has a license to drive this thing, so he's going to put it through its paces. Now, when you see Kevin operating these machines, you can't help but marvel at the precision and control that he has over them. It's like they are an extension of his body, and he has total control over all aspects of the machine. And not only that, safety is at the forefront of his mind. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Marty's Matchbox Makeovers, and if you have, please like and subscribe, and remember to recommend to your friends. Until next time, this is Marty saying goodbye, and thanks for watching.